Hi, in this CLO video, I'm going to show you how we can edit our baselines on our pattern. So you might notice some existing patterns in CLO already have baselines on them, which are these dotted purple lines here in our 2D window. You'll notice that we can't click on them. If I try to click or drag, it just drags and selects my whole pattern, but I'm not actually able to click on those baselines with the standard CLO settings, how you just open up your program. They also don't really get in the way of anything, but they are just there on your pattern, and sometimes they can make it look messy or just be unnecessary if they were on an existing pattern and you have updated that pattern. So for example, I expanded the width of this dress, and so this original baseline did go to the edge of my side seam, but it no longer is. Now it's just kind of floating there in the middle, so there's not really any reason to have it just sitting here. I could either extend it or get rid of it. Or if you wanted to be able to edit any baselines, then you would be able to do this with that same method too, or add baselines. You potentially might want to add baselines if you want markings on your pattern for a specific measurement or to show a placement of a certain item. So in order to be able to do anything with baselines, we need to go into our 2D toolbar on top of our 2D window. Under the pattern lock icon, it looks like that shirt with a lock next to it, and I'm going to choose unlock all baselines. So when I do that, now they turn into solid lines instead of dotted lines, and I'm able to click on them, and I can click delete on my keyboard. I can also click on it and move it around. And then also I can edit it too. So if I were to go to my open triangle tool, my transform pattern tool that lets me select a single point, then I could actually edit this existing baseline too. I'm going to delete that. And then I'm also going to show you how we can add new baselines. So underneath our internal line / polygon tool, which we use a lot, we also have our base polygon tool. It looks like the dotted shape on top of the rectangle. And so if I click on that, we have all of our same tools that we have for internal lines, the base polygon, base rectangle, base ellipse, and base dart. And so the base rectangle works the same way as our internal lines. I can click and drag to create a rectangle. Same thing with the ellipse. I can also hold down Shift to turn on my lock guides, but I'm going to delete those and then go back to my base polygon. And this works the same way where I can draw a shape. And if I wanted to close my shape, I would just click again on the last point, basically double clicking. To create a curved line, I click and drag. And if I wanted to get rid of a curved line after a curve, I'd click one time on that last point, and that would give me a corner point again. So this is how you can add baselines. So for example, if I wanted a baseline or a marking on my pattern to be 4 inches below the underarm seam, I could go into my edit pattern tool or my transform pattern tool and right click on this edge and choose split. And then I want to split my line by length. So I know I want the line to be split at 4 inches. So I would choose that. And I don't see the point being added here, so that means it's probably being added 4 inches from the bottom, which is not what I want. So I'm going to choose reverse, and now I can see it being added up there. You also have the option to split it in the center too, and change the number of segments. And so I'm going to click OK, and now we have that point 4 inches below our underarm seam. And I'm going to go back to our baseline tool and click on that. I have linked editing on this pattern, so I'm only going to go to the center front line, double click, and now I have a marking on my pattern that is 4 inches below the underarm seam. So if I were to print out this pattern, or if I needed to sew or anything like that right along this line, that baseline is here, and it's not going to be able to be edited the way that a internal line can easily be edited or changed. So something that if you just wanted a marking on your pattern to indicate something, that's what you could do here. If you are done with your baselines, you can choose lock all baselines to lock them back. That way you don't accidentally edit anything like that. One other thing we can do with internal lines and with baselines is convert them to each other. So I'm just going to draw an internal line right here, just a random shape. And then I'm also going to add a baseline too. And if I go and right click on this internal line, I can choose convert to baseline right here. If I wanted it to be a little less editable, you can usually keep things as internal lines if you expect to want to add details to them like sewing or top stitching or anything like that. And it's typically the best practice to have them as a baseline if you don't plan to do any editing to them, but they're just a marking you want on the pattern. And so now it's a baseline. I can right click and I can choose convert to internal line. This one right here is locked because I had added it and then I was still in lock. So I'm going to go unlock it and I can right click and again convert to internal line. So that's how you can go back and forth between the two if you ever need to change that. But that's how we can adjust baselines and edit them and add them. Thanks.